Hello, Magdalena. How are you? Hello, Bassam. Hello, Azizi. And hello, Gaia. Hello, Alejandra. Hello, Fluke. All right, we're going to get started in just a little bit. Let's wait for some more people to show up. And I actually do have some things to teach today. Can you believe that? Hello, Yaslin. Hello, Laraib. Tanya. Hello, Tanya. I haven't seen you in a while, I think. I'm fine. Mercator. And hello, Miguel. In my YouTube. You gave up learning English. No, you didn't, Tanya. You didn't give up. You can't. You already started. You're too late. Once you start, you're already doing it. You're taking what we call a lull. Lull. A lull is just a little break, a little time between learning. Actually, that's one of the most important parts of learning, of studying something. When you study something deeply, you need to study deeply but then you do need some time to absorb. So sometimes it actually is really good to take a break away from it and kind of let it sit, let the dust settle, as we say, and then see, when you do that, some of the things that you learned will actually become more firmly in you because you gave them time to absorb. Sometimes when you learn, you don't have any time to absorb, so nothing really stays. So you didn't give up. It's silly. It's silly to even think about. Sometimes progress comes in miles, and sometimes progress comes in millimeters. And sometimes you take a rest on the journey. It's normal. Hello, Lillian. Hello, hello, Ramadan Mubarak. Have I heard about... Huh? Have I heard about who, Lillian? What book? You got tired of studying, especially math? Well, then do it another way. Honestly, the reason why most people get tired of studying is just because you are so uncreative in how you study. That's the number one reason why anybody becomes tired of studying, is because whatever they're doing to study has zero creativity. So it's easy to get tired of it, to get bored. But if you have unlimited creativity in your learning, then you probably won't get bored often. And hello, Dima. Hello, Carlos. Nothing is new. Dima, you can just say what's new, or what's up, or what's happening, or what's been up. So how to study then, like which method? Hilal, there are a million methods. How many methods have you tried? How many websites have you tried? So for example, you said you're tired of studying math. What kind of math? What kind of math, Hilal? Hello, Valerie. Trigonometry. Okay. Do you know Khan Academy? Are you familiar with Khan Academy online? Exactly. Nope. Khan Academy. Let me show you Khan Academy. It's amazing. Khan Academy was started in 2004 by a guy named Sal Khan. And he started it in Boston, Massachusetts. Salman Khan. His mother is from India, so he was raised in America, in Louisiana, New Orleans. But he created this thing called Khan Academy. And Khan Academy is amazing. It's really, really amazing. It's a free website where you can study just about anything, and they have amazing videos for all these subjects. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you here. So this is Khan Academy, everybody. And look here, these are all testimonials. This means these are people who said, wow, look, I can't believe how great this is, you know? And then if you go up here and you type in trigonometry, let's just type in trig and see what happens. Here we go. Let's see. Well, let me see if I type in the whole word. Okay, there we go. Here's a course in trigonometry. Okay, there's articles about trigonometry. All of this is right here. Now, do I know this video is great? No, I don't know. But it is actually, the majority of these are very good. He's quite good at creating courses. So you should try it. Okay? Look, see? Right angles in trigonometry, trigonomic functions, non-right triangles in trigonometry, trigonomic equations and identities. Okay, look, so much stuff. And they also have English. They also have English. Okay, they have lots of things. So that's just one. That's just one. Okay, but there are many websites that you can go look to see, can I study trigonometry on this website? Can I do it on this website? Are there any trigonometry apps that are like games that I can play? Are there any videos I should watch on YouTube about how to learn trigonometry better, or tips or tricks about trigonometry? You know, so almost every time when someone says I'm tired of learning or I don't like learning, it's because you do it in the most boring way and no creativity, and you only have one way. You have a book or something like that. You study from one book, and then you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't like this. I don't like learning because I'm learning with only one book and that's all I do. It's boring because you let it be boring. It's boring because you're boring. That's usually when people say, I'm so bored. You know what I say? I say, well, try being less boring and you won't be so bored. So, try a less boring method. All right? Khan Academy. Hello, Romana. How are you? Hello, Parisa. Salman Khan is an Indian actor. Well, I imagine that name is probably very common. The name Khan is a very popular family name, and Salman is a very popular first name. So I imagine there are probably a 1,000 or 10,000 Salman Khans, probably. I listen to you and another teacher on a Hello Talk, and I understand almost everything, but communicating with ordinary people on the street requires... it requires you to take a chance, man. That's all. It just requires you to take a chance. Language is an adventure. You have to be brave. Go out and have an adventure. If you don't do anything on your adventure, then it's not an adventure. So go out and, yeah, you got to talk to people. And every time you talk to somebody, it's like a battle that you were in. You fought a dragon. You had a conversation. That's fighting a dragon. So that's an adventure. That's an adventure, Ferrari. So you have to just go out and have an adventure, man. And sometimes when you fight the dragon, you get hit. Sometimes you get hurt a little bit when you fight the dragon. Or maybe even the dragon might eat you once in a while. But that's just the way it is. That's what you have to do. You just have to go out and try again. And each time you do, you get better at fighting the dragon. Okay, man? And some dragons are harder than others. You know, some conversations will be easy, some will be hard. That's just a bigger dragon. But you have to be brave and fight the dragon. Okay, so I think there are enough people here. I think I'm going to go ahead and teach a little bit now. I have prepared some things to teach you vocabulary with etymology. We're going to talk about Greek words that have cool history. Lots of Greek words that have cool history to them. All right? So, the first word we're going to talk about is the word atlas. Do you know what an atlas is? A-T-L-A-S. Atlas. It's a map, that's right. Yeah, it's a kind of map. Right? It's like the grand map. All right? But why is it called an atlas? Do you know? There we go. Sharam knows. Yeah, Atlas was a Greek titan. He was a titan, which was like it's like a big creature the gods created. Okay, the gods created these creatures that were called the Titans. Just imagine that, okay? And the Titans were these enormous creatures of different kinds, right? So Atlas was one of the Titans, and the gods condemned him to carry the heavens on his shoulders. He had to carry the world on his shoulders. So sometimes you see a globe or a map, and there's a guy underneath the map holding it up. That's Atlas. That is Atlas. Atlas was the god that held up the skies and the world. And the first Atlas was created by a guy named, what was his name? Mercator? Something Mercator. Let me find it again. Gerardus Mercator. He was the first guy to, what is a Mercator? This is a map maker, right? And he made the first one. It was called Atlassive Cosmographica Meditationes de Fabrica Mundi et Fabricati Figura. And that means Atlas or Cosmographical Meditations upon the creation of the universe and the universe as created. It was the first thing that was said. It was right on the top of the book. It was the first part, the most important thing that was said right there. It was Atlas Sive, which was the Atlas or Cosmographical Meditations. I like that word. Okay, so yeah, if you've seen any statue of somebody holding up the earth or holding up the world, yeah, that's Atlas. Okay, so now you know. Why is it called an atlas? Because Atlas was the god who held up the earth. And what is an atlas? It's a map of the earth. Okay, so that's easy to remember, isn't it? That's easy to remember. Now you'll remember. Atlas was a god. Well, not a god. He was a titan. It's a godlike. Okay, and he was part of Greek history. Okay, he was the guy who held up the earth. Okay, so now you'll remember what an atlas is. All right, that's from Greek history. What about the word cloth? Cloth, C-L-O-T-H. What is cloth? Cloth, yeah, it's fabric, tissue, right. Yeah, your clothes are, that's clothing, right? Clothes that's made of cloth, right? But where does the word cloth come from? It comes from Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, the Greeks had this story about the three fates. The three fates, or I think the word they used was Moirai, something like that. It was the Greek word that they used for the three fates, and they were these three sisters. The Greeks thought that there were these three sisters that determined everybody's life. All right, and the three sisters' names were Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. And let's see. So Clotho was the spinner. Each one of these, they had to do something with the thread of life. The thread of life. So thread is one little piece, right? So if you have like a little piece coming off of your shirt, that's called a thread. Okay? So Clotho was the spinner. They called her the spinner. She would spin the cloth. Okay? And she spun the thread of life. All right? So that symbolizes the birth and the present. She's the one who gives you the life, right? Lachesis was the one who measured how much life you get, right? So Clotho would tell you, would give you life, and then Lachesis would say how much thread you get, how much life you get. And then Atropos was the goddess, or not goddess, the fate, who would cut the thread, ending your life. So the three sisters were the three fates, and the Greeks believed that they were the ones who determined everything about your life, how long it was, if you have one, all of that. That was the three fates. And the first one is Clotho. Clotho, as in cloth. All right? So the word cloth comes from a Greek story about these three sisters that were the ones who determined how long your life would be and when to end your life and whether you get life. Okay? Yeah, that's interesting to me. That's interesting, right? Okay, let's keep going. There's another Greek word. The next Greek word we're going to talk about is chaos. What is chaos? The word chaos, C-H-A-O-S. Yeah, chaos. What is chaos? Disorder. That's right. Disorder. A mess. Confusion. Right. So where does this come from? This comes from the Greeks had the Greek myth of chaos. In Greek, the Greeks spelled it differently. They spelled it with a K, not with a C. Right? So the Greeks spell it as K-H-A-O-S. And in the Greek history, Greek mythology, chaos was the beginning of all life. It was the void. It was emptiness. It was nothingness. So the original meaning of chaos was nothingness is the void, the nothingness where nothingness was born, essentially, right? That's where everything came from, was the void. All right? But now we think of chaos as being all those things you described. Okay? Let's see. Is homos chaos or deliberate nature? What, I'm not sure what you mean, Valeri. I'm not sure what you mean. So let me see here. There it is. So, in Greek mythology, chaos was the nothingness before life. That was the nothingness before life. It was. Oh, and by the way, this is funny. Do you know what was born from that nothingness? What was born from that nothingness? There were three beings that came from the nothingness. And those three beings are Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros. Gaia is the earth. Tartarus was the pit. Tartarus was hell. And Eros was desire, heaven. So, Gaia was born from chaos. Born out of chaos. Okay, so there you go. That's another easy one to remember. The word chaos now just means craziness, wildness. Nothing is ordered, it's disordered, it's wild, it's crazy. But think about it like this. Before anything existed, there were no rules. There was nothing. There was no sense of anything. That's chaotic, right? Think of it like chaos means no rules. That makes sense today when we say it's chaotic. It's like it follows no rules, right? Well, that's kind of the way it is. Before life is born, there are no rules. That's the void. That's chaos. Okay? Next word in Greek history that we're going to talk about today is the word charity. Charity. What is charity? What is charity? What's my favorite word and its etymology? I don't know. I have too many. I'm so terrible about favorite words or favorite anything. People ask me my favorites, and I'm so bad about that. Is space chaos or deliberate nature? You mean real space? Well, no. Real space is deliberate. Space as a thought of the void. That's an imaginary thought. It's not the real outer space. Outer space is a reality that's made of everything that our reality here is made of. It's the same stuff. This is talking about the world before the world. That's right. Earth, love, and the underworld. That's right. That's right, Romana. So charity. Yeah, the word charity. It does not come from the word chariot. No. The word charity comes from the story of, I think it's actually supposed to be pronounced Charis. And Charis was another Greek myth. There were the three graces. So we talked about the three fates before. In Greek mythology, a lot of things happen in threes. There will always be three something, especially with women. So there are three sisters of fates, and there are three graces. And the three graces are, let's see, where are they? Go. Okay. So we have Aglaea, Euphrois, let's see. Euphrosyne and Thalia. So there's Aglaea, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. And the three of those were the three graces. Aglaea is splendor. Splendor is beauty. wonder, elegance, radiance. Euphrosyne was the goddess of joy and cheer and happiness. And Thalia was the goddess of festivals and banquets and celebrations. So these were called the three graces. Okay? And one of them. Oh, no, no, no. So the three graces in Greek mythology, the graces were called the charites. Charites. Charites is the word where we get charity from. Okay? So the idea was that charity comes from a Latin word. So the word charity is a mix of Greek mythology and Latin etymology. Okay? So when you look up the word in the dictionary or in the etymology dictionary, it comes from the Latin word caritatum, which means affection or esteem. So it means that you think this person is worth giving something to. That's charity. Okay? So it means to do something nice for the poor is what the original meaning is. But it comes from the idea of you give something to them because you think they are worth giving to. So you give them charity. And that's the same thing we do today, right? Do you give money to every charity? No, you choose the ones that you think are worthy of your money. Okay? So those are those words. So charity comes from this word. Let's see. It's close to the word, the Greek word, the translation is agape, which in Greek means love. So the idea is someone you're giving something nice to. It's a way of showing love, right? No, I'm not talking about the Bible. If you listen, maybe you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't listen, then you don't know. You don't need to ask what the topic is. If you stop and use these two things, what are these here? What are these? Use them. Listen to me. But thank you, Kira, for trying to explain to them what I'm doing. And hello, Miriam. Yes, I'm still here. I will always be here. Zane, it's okay, but it just is one of those things where if you come into a room, anywhere, all you need to do is listen to know what's happening. Just wait. Okay? Now, we're talking about English words that come from Greek history. And because they come from Greek history, they have interesting stories, and maybe that will make it easier for you to remember the words. Okay? That's what we're doing here. All right? So I was just talking about the word charity. Charity comes from the Greek idea that they had these three sisters that were called the three graces. And in Greek, it was the three charites. Charites meant charities. And these were these sisters who were, they were the sisters that were about good things like happiness and festivals and celebrations and things like that. So they were good. It was part of love, right? So charity comes from the idea of this person is worth showing your love to. This thing is worth giving money to because you think it's valuable. Okay? Next question. I'm sorry, not next question. Next word. Next word. After charity, we are going on to chronology. Chronology. What is chronology? Do you know what chronology is? Chronology. Anyone? Chronology. Yes, time sequence. A time sequence. It has to do with time. Okay, what is a chronograph? What is a chronograph? It's a thing that measures time, right? So chronology means the order, the time sequence, right? Where does that come from? The Greeks have the god Kronos. Kronos was the god of time. Kronos was the Greek god of time. Okay? So that one's easy. Chronology, chronograph, anything that has the chrono sound in it is from Kronos, the god of time. Not Coronas. No, Corona is different. That's a beer. A Mexican beer. I can answer that next time. I'll tell you about the history of that beer next time. Okay, so chronology, chronograph, anything that has chrono in it. What about the word? Let's see. There are a bunch of them. Wait, I'm going to show you all the words that are involved with chrono. There it is. What about the word chronic? There you go. There's one. Chronic. What is something that is chronic? What's a chronic thing? A chronic thing means something that happens over and over and over again. Something that you have almost permanently, right? You seem to have the same trouble again and again. That's chronic. Okay? So you could be a chronic procrastinator. If you are a chronic procrastinator, then that means that you procrastinate all the time. Okay? You could be a chronic, you could be chronically argumentative. That means every time someone talks to you, you argue. Okay, so chronic things are things that happen again and again and again. It's a chronic problem. Maybe you're a student in my class and you're late every day. You come to my class, but you are late every day. So I have to tell you, this is becoming a chronic problem. This is a chronic problem. Okay? So it just means something you've been doing again and again and again and again. All right? A chronic disease, a chronic sickness, something that happens again and again and again. And again, it comes from the word chronos, chronos from the god of time. Okay? Chronically not punctual. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Awesome. What about the word anachronism? Do you know that one? It's an anachronism. What is an anachronism? So an anachronism, the modern meaning that we think about today is that it's something that doesn't fit with the time period, like it's a little bit out of place. But that makes sense because the word anachronism, ana means against, and chronos means time. So anachronism means against time. So that means that it's like something that doesn't fit in that time. All right? So, for example, Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Do you guys know the movie Braveheart? Do you guys know the movie Braveheart? Famous movie with Mel Gibson, where, what do they say? You may take our something, but you may never take our freedom or whatever, right? Yeah, you love that movie, right? But in that movie, they wear kilts. And do you know what a kilt is? What's a kilt? What is a kilt? K-I-L-T, kilt. It's the kind of, yeah, it's like a skirt, but it was what the men would wear, right? It's like a skirt, right? Well, guess what? That's wrong, because in that movie, Braveheart, the time period, William Wallace, kilts were not invented yet. Kilts were not a thing yet. So in that movie, that is an anachronism. It's something that they made the movie about that time period, but those things don't exist yet. That's an anachronism. It doesn't fit with the time. Okay? Or, let's see. In the movie Gladiator, they have one scene where the dog is a German Shepherd dog. It's a German Shepherd, right? Again, German Shepherds did not exist yet. They hadn't been bred yet. They weren't created yet. So that is an anachronism. Okay? Or in the movie Back to the Future, if you know that famous movie about going back in time, right? In that movie, he plays a guitar. There's one scene where he's playing a guitar in the movie. That guitar didn't exist yet. It hadn't been created yet. So that's an anachronism. All right? That's an anachronism. So do you understand what an anachronism is now? It's something that goes against time. That's right. German Shepherds were not bred until the 1800s, the late 1800s, almost the 1900, almost in the year 1900. Okay? So there we go. That's an anachronism. Let me see. Are there any other words with chrono? Yes, there are. Chronicle. What is a chronicle? What is a chronicle? A book of some history moments. That's right. It tells the time in order. That's it. Chronos. It's telling the time, about time. Okay? Chronic. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Zane. Chronic means something that happens again and again and again, over and over again through time. So it's about time. Okay? What about the word... Yeah, so what is a chronicle? A chronicle is a written record of events over time. That's what a chronicle is, okay? And what about the word crony? What about the word crony? What is a crony? C-R-O-N-Y. A crony is like in government, when the president decides to give his best friend a job, all of his friends, he gives all his friends jobs. Those are cronies. Okay? No, nepotism is different. Nepotism is when you give a job to your family. That's nepotism. When you give jobs to your friends, that's cronyism. Okay? So, a crony is a friend that goes back with you a long time. It's a long time friend. Chronos. It would be K or Cronyism, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, Cronyism. Cronyism. Okay? Nepotism is when you give a job to your family. Cronyism is when you give jobs to your friends. Okay? And it comes from the idea that that's your friend. You've known them for a long time. Time. Chronos. Okay? How about, let's see, any other words? Oh, synchronize. Synchronize. Let's synchronize. Synchronous. Synchronicity. To synchronize means at the same time. So syn means together, and chronos means time. Okay? So that's what synchronize means, is at the same time. Okay? At the same time. So look, see, we learned a bunch of words just from this one thing, just from this one idea of chronos. There were a bunch of words there, right? Okay, let's keep going. The next word on my list from Greek history is echo, 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 echo. What is an echo? That is an echo, right? When you yell a word and it repeats. Now, where does this story come from? This story is, again, from Greek mythology. Echo was a beautiful woman. She was a nymph, okay, which just means a beautiful woman, okay? And Zeus was the king of the gods in Greek mythology. Zeus was the biggest king, the biggest god. And he fell in love with her. He fell in love with Echo, okay, because she was so beautiful. But Hera was Zeus's wife. Hera. That's Zeus's wife. She found out and she got mad. So she cursed Echo. She put a curse on Echo. And she said, you are only allowed to speak the last word that someone else said. So if I say to Echo, if I go to Echo and I say, how are you? She'll say, you. If I say, what are you doing? She'll say, doing. If I say, why are you repeating me? She'll say, me. That was the curse of Echo. All right? Yeah, it's a weird curse. They had a bunch of weird curses. But Magdalena, sometimes they create stories to explain the things that they already see. So maybe they were standing on the edge of a cliff and they yelled the word and they heard it repeat. And they were trying to think of, why does it repeat? Why does the sound repeat? So sometimes they create a story that makes sense to help them understand why this thing happens. Okay? So that was the story of Echo, a beautiful woman who Zeus fell in love with her, and his wife got mad and put a curse on her so she could only repeat the last word that someone else said for the rest of her life. She could never say anything. She could never profess her love to Zeus. Okay? How about the name Europe? The word Europe, that comes from Greek mythology, Greek history. Europa. Europa was a beautiful princess. Zeus, again, Zeus got around a lot with the ladies. The Greek god Zeus, he was a womanizer. He had a lot of women. So again, he fell in love with Europa, and yeah, that's the word where we get the word Europe from. Yeah, from the beautiful princess Europa that Zeus fell in love with. Yeah, he's kind of a womanizer. What about the word fury? Fury. Fury, Waleed. Come on, man. Be better than that. Be better than that, Waleed. You know what? Guess what, Waleed? There was an interesting thing, Waleed. Many cultures, when they create gods, the gods are they're better than humans, right? They don't have bad qualities, right? In Christian religion, usually they talk about God as mostly being above human qualities, not as petty as humans. But the Greek gods were very different. The Greek gods had all the same problems that humans did. They just had power. So the Greek stories about gods were very interesting because they reflected the people. That's what it was about. They had problems. But that was more realistic. They were able to talk about those problems because they were things that the gods did. Okay? Okay, so the word fury. Fury is anger, right? Fury is anger. But once again, fury is a word that comes from Greek mythology of the Furies. Remember how we said they're the three graces and they're the three fates? Let's see. So we also have the Furies. So the Furies were the Greek goddesses of vengeance and punishment. So if you did something bad, the Furies would come to get you. They would come to punish you. They were there to punish you for anything that you did wrong, especially against family. If you did anything against family in particular, like if you killed your father, or you killed your mother, or you killed your brother or your sister, the Furies were coming for you. They were very, very interested in things that happened to the family. Furie. Furie was the Greek word for it, which meant the Furies. So the word fury now, to be furious, means to be very angry. To be very angry, right? More like worshiping the tyrants and kings. Well, kind of, yeah. Kind of. They weren't always benevolent. Benevolent is a good word for you to learn. Benevolent means good. There are two words that you can learn. Benevolent and malevolent. Benevolent means to be good for everyone, and malevolent means to be bad. Or to, if I say he's very malevolent, means it's like evil. Okay? Benevolent means like, wow, he's so good. Generous, kind. Okay? So, the Greek gods were not always benevolent. They were very capricious, is the word. It means some days they felt this way and another day they felt another way. They changed their feelings a lot. Can we use these words in all sorts of contexts? Well, yeah, some of them. Yeah, some of them. The word fury? Sure. I'm filled with fury. I'm furious. It means I'm angry. So yeah, if you're really, really angry, you can be furious. Okay? Mona, can you wait and ask me that question after I finish teaching, and then I will answer you? Can you wait? I'm talking to this other Mona. But, yes, let me keep going here. Let's see. So we just did Echo, we did Europe, we did Fury. Let me give you another good one. Uh, oh, I know a good one. Do you know the word mentor? What is a mentor? What is a mentor? Yeah, it's kind of. A mentor is a little bit more than a tutor, and it's a little bit more than a guide, and it's a little bit more than a teacher. A mentor is kind of like someone that you truly admire, truly respect, that you really want to learn from, and they are not just teaching you about one thing, they're teaching you about everything. That's a mentor. Okay? A mentor doesn't just teach you about a subject, right? That's a tutor or a teacher. A mentor shows you how to be, how to think. They're saying, if you want to think more like me, then you should be like this. That's a mentor. Now, sometimes a mentor doesn't tell you anything. You just follow them. It's like shadowing. You just admire them, so you learn from them. Okay, that's a mentor. But where's the word mentor come from? The word mentor comes from the story of the Odyssey. Do you know the story of the Odyssey? Odysseus? The Greek story of the Odyssey? Have you ever heard of that famous Greek story, the Odyssey? It's one of the most famous stories in Greek history. You should read about it. Okay? Go look up the Odyssey. Well, here, no, I'll teach it to you now. Hold on, let me pull up my notes. Okay, so the Odyssey was it was a Greek epic. It's called an epic. An epic means a story that's like a grand, big, huge story, right? It's it's like a short story is very short. The opposite of a short story is an epic. Okay, it's like a grand story. All right, and the Greek, the poet Homer wrote this. Okay, Homer, not from The Simpsons. No, not that one. Different Homer. Okay, Homer from The Simpsons did not write this. Okay, how do you spell it? The Odyssey. 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 The Odyssey. Okay. And it was a story about a 10-year journey. It was a 10-year journey. That's why it's an epic. It's over 10 years. All right? And it was all about returning to Ithaca from the Trojan War. Waleed, this is about the Trojan War. You're always talking about the Trojan War. You should read the Odyssey, Waleed. So it's a big, long story. It's about this 10-year trip going back to Ithaca after the Trojan War. All right? But in this story, there is a guy named Mentor. Let's see. Where is it? Mentor was the guy who Odysseus was... He had to find somebody to teach his son and watch over his son. So the guy who Odysseus found to watch over and teach his son was named Mentor. So Odysseus had to find someone to take care of his son and teach him. So the man he found was a man named Mentor. And that's where we get the word mentor from. Okay? It's not like a godfather. No, it's like wait, let me see. 指导值，指导值，你知道吗？ I think I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right?
指导者，
指导者，指导者. Okay? That's a mentor. It's not like a teacher, it's more than a teacher. Okay? All right. There's also a movie called A Space Odyssey. The word Odyssey now means trip. Okay, grand adventure. Okay, that's what an Odyssey is. Okay, so yeah, A Space Odyssey. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep going. What about the word lethargy? Do you know what lethargy is? Lethargy. Waleed, you should read about Zeus, man. He did a bunch of stuff that was really not cool, man. He did a bunch of stuff that was not cool, like abandoning his children. Is that a good thing to do? Do you want to abandon your children, Waleed? Because Zeus abandoned a lot of his. Okay, so yes, lethargy means the opposite of energy. It means extreme fatigue, being tired. That's right. So where does the word lethargy come from? It comes from, in Greek mythology, in the underworld, in hell, down in the dark, dark world, the dark place where the bad things live, there's a river. And the river is the river Lethe. The river Lethe is the river in the underworld. And if you drink from the river Lethe, then you become forgetful and lazy and you fall asleep and you go to the underworld. You die. So the word lethargy comes from the Greek mythology about the river Lethe. And the waters of the river Lethe, if you drink the water, then you'd forget your past life. You'd forget who you were. And then you lose energy. So you become lethargic. Lethargic. The river Lethe. You thought it was about a war. It was. It was about returning from the war, Waleed. It's about returning from the war. Okay? What about the word music? Music. To make a sentence with lethargy. I feel lethargic. I have lethargy. It means I have no energy. I feel too tired to move. Okay? I have lethargy. I feel lethargic. Okay? And again, the next word we're talking about is music. Where does the word music come from? Music comes from the Greek mythology about the Muses. M-U-S-E-S, the Muses. That's right, Zane. And the Muses were these 9 goddesses, these 9 sisters. And there was Calliope, Clio, Erato, Euterpe, Melpomene, Polyhymny, Polyhymnia. Ooh, that's a hard one to say. Polyhymnia, Terpsichore, Thalia, and Urania. And so these were the goddesses of the Muses. And the Greeks believed that all of your talent, any talent that you had, it was basically one of these muses that was giving you this talent, right? It was kind of like inspiration that they would give you, right? So if you wrote a song, everybody believed that one of the muses gave you that. Okay, if you did something creative, everybody believed that one of the muses must have blessed you with this creativity. So they basically believed that almost everything that was creative was it was a gift that was given to you by one of these muses, these goddesses. Okay? Kissed by a muse, that's right. And we even still use the word my muse, right? So maybe you see a painter and you know, he says, she's my muse. It means she's my inspiration to want to paint. You're my muse means you are the thing that inspires me to want to do something talented and creative. Okay? All right, I have some questions I'm going to try to answer, but be patient. Hold on. Waleed, no, man. Waleed, this is one other thing that I need to tell you. You need to learn that's a very bad habit that you do. You guess what you think happened, but you don't know. You shouldn't do that too much, man. That's called making assumptions. Do you know what an assumption is, Waleed? To assume. Yeah, it means that you guess without knowing. And in English, Waleed, we have a very important thing we say. Never assume, because if you assume, then you will make an ass out of you and out of me. Assume. ASSUME. If you assume things, you will make an ass out of you and out of me. Don't jump to conclusions. That's right. So what I'm saying is, have you studied about Greek history? Do you know that that's why Zeus wanted his sons that way? No, you do not, because you didn't study it. You are assuming, and that is a bad, bad, bad habit. Having an imagination is a good thing, but don't let your imagination control you. You must direct your imagination, or your imagination will direct you. Okay, my friend? So please, when you have an idea like that, you think, well, maybe Zeus just wanted his sons to be like the Spartans, be a real man by themselves, right? That's a good theory. I like the theory. But now you can't just say that. No, no, no. Now you have to go find out if it's true or not. Do the research and find out, why did Zeus do that? Okay? Don't just guess. Have a guess, but then go find out if it's right or not. All right? Otherwise, you are just running through life and you're kind of learning a little bit. But every time you learn, you're also not learning, because you're guessing what you think happened instead of finding out what did happen. Okay? So, don't let your imagination control you. Control your imagination. All right? Okay. So, there was another question about ethos, pathos, and logos. So, that is about Greek rhetoric. Hold on. Ethos, pathos, and logos. Those are from Aristotle, okay? The Greek philosopher. And these were the ways that he would argue, okay? And it's called, it's the rhetorical triangle. I told you the Greeks liked everything in threes. They like to do everything in threes. So ethos was your credibility. It was the trust. So that means like anybody can say something, right? For example, if you find somebody on Hello Talk and they say, you're doing this wrong with grammar, your grammar is wrong. How do you know if they know? Do they have any credibility? Do they have a teaching certificate? Have they ever taught English before? Do you think they have a good education or background to know? That's their ethos. Okay? Do they have credibility as a person to make a statement? If you don't have credibility, then anybody can have an opinion, but that doesn't mean that your opinion is worth much. Okay, that's your ethos. Pathos is your emotional response. So it's like you're trying to appeal to emotion. Okay, that's where we get the word empath and, compassion. Those are, empathic. Those types of words. It's all about your feelings, okay? Empathetic, it's all about feeling, all right? And then the logos is about logic, okay? So does your argument make sense? So these were the three ways that Aristotle taught that you should argue in three different areas. One is with ethos, meaning your credibility, that you have experience doing this. So the words you say matter because you have knowledge and experience. That's your ethos. Then you have your pathos, which means your ability to appeal to emotion. Can you make an emotional argument about this? And then your logos is, can you make a logical, rational argument? And if you can connect all three of those, then you probably have a pretty strong argument. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Dagon is not from Greek mythology, really. It's from the Bible. Dagon is actually something kind of goes back early, but I don't know enough about it, so I can't talk about it. I don't know. Okay? See? Waleed, what did I just do? You asked me a question about something. I only told you what I know. And then I said, I can't answer more because I don't know. I said that because if I did answer, I would be answering with assumptions. And I don't do that. I try not to. Okay? So I'm just showing you that I do it too. I have to tell myself, don't answer, don't assume, don't give assumptions. Okay? All right. Have I ever watched Hercules? Sure. Yeah. Sometimes we say a task is a Herculean task. Have you ever heard that? A Herculean task? A Herculean task means a task is very difficult. It requires you to be like Hercules. Hercules was the great strong man in Greek mythology. It's a Herculean task. Okay? Kathy, hello. You're new. I'm not new, Kathy. I have been on Hello Talk for 12 years, and about 88,000 people, almost 90,000 people follow me to learn English. So you have to come here. Okay? 每天你看我听我，你可以学英文。这里啊，我教你。Okay? Good. Okay, so let me keep going. The next word I'm going to teach you from Greek history. Oh, here's a good one. Narcissism. Narcissism. This is a very important word to know today because there seem to be so many narcissists. I am teaching. I am teaching. I am teaching right now. Right now, I am teaching. Yes, I teach Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday. So what is a narcissist? A narcissist is somebody who only thinks about themselves. Wait a minute. There we go. A narcissist is somebody who only thinks about themselves, like the people I just removed. Okay. Hello, Belen. Hello. How are you, dear? So, a narcissist, where does this word come from? It comes from the Greek story of Narcissus. Narcissus was a beautiful man. Narcissus was a beautiful man. He was so pretty, so handsome, so attractive. But he was so handsome that he was walking in the woods one day and he saw a beautiful lake, a little beautiful lake. And he walked over to the lake and he looked down into the lake and he saw his reflection in the lake. And he was so amazed by his own reflection that he couldn't leave. He was trapped looking at himself because he loved himself so much. That's the story of Narcissus. Okay, so a narcissist is a person who only thinks about themselves. They love themselves too much. All right? And yeah, I think that's a great story. Right? What about the word nectar? Nectar. What is nectar? What is nectar? Hello, Asma. What is nectar? Nectar. Nectar. Do you guys know? I know one too, Sergey. I know one too. That's kind of why I was teaching that word. It's a very important word to know these days because it seems like there are a lot of them, in particular one. But yes, nectar. Nectar is a word that we use for many things. We use it for like flowers. Sometimes flowers have nectar in them, right? The nectar of the flower, right? But the word nectar is, we often talk about it like when we're saying any kind of delicious drink, right? So where does this word come from? Sometimes we'll say, coffee. Coffee is the nectar of the gods. The nectar of the gods. That's what we say. Because in Greek mythology, the gods drank something called nectar. That was their favorite drink. It was called nectar. So the favorite drink of the gods is the word nectar. Okay? Nocturnal, nope, that's different. Nocturnal is from nocte. Prima, the word nocte means night in, let me see. Nocturnal. Nocturnal, there it is. So nocturnal comes from the Latin word nocturnus, which means belonging to the night. Okay? So the first part, noc, comes from the word meaning, where is it? Night. And then, it was just an adjective. Yeah, so the ernal part just is an adjective that describes of the night. Right? So the noc comes from the word nox, which meant night. Okay? So, again, if you say this is like nectar, You're saying it's so yummy, it's like what the gods drink. Okay? How about the word nemesis? Nemesis. What is a nemesis? Guava nectar, that's right. That's right. Yeah, but nectar is a word that just means like yummy juice, yummy something to drink, but it's because that's what the gods drank. The gods drank nectar in Greek mythology. Okay? So nemesis is a word that means your enemy. Your enemy is your nemesis. Okay? And the word nemesis was a Greek goddess. There was a goddess in Greek history named Nemesis, and she was the goddess of revenge against humans who were arrogant. Okay? If you were an arrogant human, then Nemesis might come for you. That's what I said, Nermal. Nermal, that's exactly what I said. Nectar means a sweet and delicious drink because that's what the gods drank. The nectar of the gods means the drink of the gods. Okay? So Nemesis was a Greek goddess in charge of revenge. So your nemesis is your enemy. Okay? I hope you don't have too many. What about the word ocean? What about the word ocean? Where does the word ocean come from? What's an ocean? Ocean comes from the Greek word okeanos, which was the god of the river Oceanus. So in Greek mythology, there was a river, a big river, and this river was the source of all the fresh water in the world. So in Greek mythology, they believed there was one river that had all the fresh water. That river was called Oceanus, and the god who ruled over that river was Okeanos, and that's where we get the word ocean from. Okeanos, not Okeanos. Okeanos. Yeah. Okay, how about the word panic? Panic. Yeah, panic is when you feel like, oh no, oh my God, oh no, what am I going to do? Oh no, that's panic, right? No, it's not just a little. No, it's a lot. Panic is all your anxiety. Panic is all your nervousness, all your fear. It's all put together. That's panic. But where does the word panic come from? It comes from the Greek god Pan. And the Greek god Pan had a bunch of different things he was in charge of, but one of the things he was in charge of was he liked to make people run away in fear. So, for example, the Greeks believed that sometimes in a battle, the enemy would run away, and they thought, oh, look, Pan made them afraid. The god Pan, he made them afraid. They ran away. So the word panic comes from the belief. They used to believe that the god Pan, he would make people run away. He would make people afraid. Okay? Pan is with a big P. If it's a god, then it's a name. If it's a name, it's a big P, and that means it's not the same as the thing Pan, right? There are some things that have a capital letter, and that is different than the small letter, right? Penicillin. No, sorry, Zane. That's P-E-N, not P-A-N. So that comes from a different root, a different word. The word penicillin comes from the Latin word penicillin notatum, which it meant paintbrush, a paintbrush. And the reason why was because, let's see. Oh, because the shape of the cells, when they first looked at the cells, they thought the cells looked like paintbrushes. So that's where we get the word pencil from also. Pencil and penicillin are related. Isn't that funny? The word penicillin and the word pencil. Because pencil is related to the word paintbrush, and the word penicillin is related to the word paintbrush. Yeah. Okay? Pandora. Pandora is a different Greek mythology story. Let's go to that one. Hold on, I'll tell you the story of Pandora. Pandora's box. So, in the beginning, in Greek mythology, there were only men. In early Greek mythology, the history says that the gods only created men at first. But the men, they stole fire from the gods. Fire was supposed to be something only the gods had. But men stole fire from the gods. So as punishment, they made the first woman. Wow, how nice. You know, isn't that a funny way to say you're punishing us? You give us a woman? That's kind of not cool. So the first woman was Pandora. And she was created as a punishment for the men because the men, they took fire. They stole fire from the gods, and they weren't supposed to do that. And so she was given a box. Okay, she was given this box or jar, or some kind of a thing that she was given a box, and Zeus told her, don't open the box. Don't open it. Okay? But she was too curious, so she opened it, and when she opened it, it released hate and war and despair upon the world. So, in English, sometimes we say, you opened Pandora's box. And that means you opened a thing and released the bad stuff, and now we can't fix it. Like you did one thing that caused a lot of other bad things. Yeah, you did one thing that created a huge mess that you cannot fix. That's Pandora's box. Means it's so big, this is out of control now. Okay? Yeah, like an outbreak. Yeah, sometimes that's kind of like that. It's like an outbreak, right? It's opening Pandora's box. Okay? Yeah. And it was created, Waleed, the box was created by Hephaestus, who was the blacksmith. He was the god who was the blacksmith. He would hammer and make things. Okay, so there you go. Like I said, Greek history, Magdalena, Greek history is interesting, but it's crazy. Like the stories just, sometimes they don't really make sense. Put it this way, if you like drama, then you'll love Greek history, because Greek history is nothing but drama. It's drama all over the place. He's sleeping with her, and she slept with him, and this god likes him, but this god doesn't like him, and this goddess became a human and went down, and they started, it's all crazy. Greek mythology is all drama. Lots and lots of drama. It's like one big soap opera. If you like K-pop, K-dramas, all those, Chinese dramas and Korean dramas, you'll love Greek mythology because it's all like that. They're all big drama queens. That's right. Where can you find it? You can just do a search online for it, or you can ask ChatGPT to help you understand it. Yeah, Greek mythology. It's fun. Or there are some movies about it too. I'm sure, Waleed, you probably love those movies. Clash of the Titans. Have you ever seen Clash of the Titans? That's about Greek mythology. So Greeks are the pioneers of all dramas of the world. Well, I won't say they're the pioneers of all dramas, but yes, Greeks are who created the word drama. Let's look at the word drama. Drama comes from the Greek word drama, which means action, deed, play, spectacle. Because back then, there was no TV, there were no movies, there was no cell phones. So what did they do for entertainment? What did they do for entertainment? The Greeks. Drama. They had plays. They had performances. They wore masks and they would pretend to be Zeus and Hera and Hephaestus and all of the gods and goddesses. And they would make these great plays. Okay? And some of the things that I teach about speaking come from Greek plays, oration. To be in a Greek play, they didn't have microphones. So a long time ago, you had to speak with a very bold voice like this so everyone could hear you. If you were shy and you had a weak voice, you couldn't be in a play. So yeah, the Greeks, they created the word drama and they created what we know as drama. Now, there is always a tendency to want to say, oh, well, who did it first? Was it the Chinese or the Greeks or the Egyptians, or who did it first? And usually the answer is that everyone did it first, right? So somebody was doing it over here and somebody was doing it over here at roughly the same time, okay? So this is true for many cultures throughout history. They had plays and performances and dramas, okay? Yeah. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going. How about the word phobia? What is a phobia? What's a phobia? A fear of something. That's right. There are many kinds of phobias. And where do we get the word phobia from? Phobia comes from the Greek god Phobos, the god of fear. Phobos was the Greek god of fear. So that's where we get the word phobia. Arachnophobia means you are scared of spiders. Claustrophobia means you are scared of closed in small spaces. Okay? Agoraphobia. There are many kinds of phobias. Okay? Yeah, this god, that's the god of fear. They would frighten people. That's right. Okay? How about the word psychology? Psychology. Where does the word psychology come from? It comes from the Greek goddess of the soul. The Greek goddess of the soul, her name was Psyche. Psyche was the Greek goddess of the soul. That's where we get the term psychology. Back then, your mind was your soul. Later, we changed the idea of soul as more of a spiritual term and mind is more of a mental term. Yeah, the Greeks had a lot of gods. Yeah, the Greeks had a lot of gods. They had gods and they had something called demigods. Demigods means half god. The gods in Greek mythology, the gods would come down to earth and have relationships with humans and have babies with humans. So it was half human, half god. Like in the story of the Clash of the Titans, who is the main character in Clash of the Titans? Do you remember? What was his name? No, not Hercules. No. Perseus. Perseus was the son of Zeus, another son of Zeus. And Perseus was half god, half human. Okay? Look at you, Waleed. Waleed, you need to read more and watch fewer movies, man. And yeah, you guys keep talking about Kratos, but Kratos, but Kratos was actually not a huge figure in Greek mythology that much. Not really. I mean, I read lots of Greek mythology and I never read that much about Kratos. It happened, he has a few stories, but the only reason why Kratos is popular now is because of the video game. And to me, I find that very sad. You know all about Kratos, but only because of a video game. Okay, let's go to the next word. How about the next word is... Oh, yeah, this one's good. Tantalize. Tantalize. What about tantalize? If something is very tantalizing, what does that mean? If you tantalize someone, what are you doing? No, not huge. If something is very tantalizing, it means it's very tempting. It's something you want really badly. It's right there. It's like you're really hungry and there's a delicious apple pie right there in the window and you can see it. Oh, smell that. Oh, it's so tantalizing. It's tempting, right? This is another story from Greek history. So Tantalus was a wealthy Greek king. Tantalus was a wealthy Greek king. And he was the son of Zeus. Again, I told you, Waleed, Zeus was not a good dude, man. He wasn't a good dude. He was banging everybody. Not in a good way. So, Tantalus was a wealthy Greek king and the son of Zeus. And he was very famous for being very arrogant. He was very arrogant, and he would do horrific crimes against the gods. He would do horrific crimes against the gods, right? And Tantalus did something really, really crazy. He invited the gods to a banquet. And at this dinner, he decided, I'm going to test the gods. Am I AI? Gwen, are you AI? Yes, I'm AI. AI is not that good. If I were AI, I'd be a lot more handsome. All right, so next we're talking about Tantalus. Tantalus invited the gods. Tantalus was a very, very arrogant man. He was an arrogant king, and he wanted to test the gods to see, do you really know everything or not? Do you say you know everything, but I don't know if you really know everything. So here is how he tried to test the gods. He said, I'm going to cook my son for dinner and serve the gods my son. I'm not going to tell them it's my son. I'm going to see if they know. Yeah, how crazy is that? He decided to kill his son and serve him for dinner. No, it's not from the Bible. This is Greek history, Greek mythology. Not history, Greek mythology. Okay? So this king, Tantalus, who was the son of Zeus, he wanted to test the gods to see if they could tell if what they are eating is his son. And they did know it was his son. Okay? So to punish Tantalus, to punish him, he was placed in a lake with water up to his chin and fruit right here. So they forced him to be in a lake forever. Okay? And so there's water everywhere, and there's fruit right above his head. Right here, there's fruit everywhere, right? But every time he tries to drink, the water goes away. And every time he tries to reach for a fruit, the fruit goes out of his reach. So when something is tantalizing, it means something that's really, really amazing, but it's just out of reach. Right? It's like that apple pie you want, but it's right over there. You can't have it. It's very tantalizing. Right? Like maybe you're on a diet and somebody shows you a delicious dessert and they say, do you want some? And you say, that's very tantalizing. Because Tantalus was punished by putting him in a lake, but he couldn't drink the water. And there was food right there, but he couldn't eat. Okay? Within sight, but out of reach. That's right. It's tantalizing. Okay? So again, you'll remember that word because that's a cool story. That's a cool story. Come on. This king tried to eat his kid. That's crazy. That's crazy. They loved exaggeration? I wouldn't say so, Waleed. Sometimes they were not exaggerating, man. Life was crazy back in that time. They did a lot of crazy things. There were all kinds of sacrifices and all kinds of very, very disturbing things that we would think are very weird today. Okay? It is horrible. Yeah. So like I said, now you'll remember the word tantalizing because of the story of Tantalus, the evil, evil Greek king. Okay? I have another one. Let's see. After Tantalus. The other day I was talking about the word typhoon, and I was wrong. I said that actually comes from Chinese history, but I was wrong. It doesn't. Even the Chinese word actually seems to come from Greek history. In Chinese, the word 就是台风, it's the same thing, but it is a word that comes from the Greek word. In Greek history, they had a giant storm. The giant storms were called... it was a storm that came from Typhon, okay? He was the father of all monsters. Typhon was the storm giant, okay? Typhon was the storm giant. He was the father of all the monsters, and that's where we get the word typhoon from, was from Typhon, the Greek god. Yeah. So those are just a few Greek, English words, but they're English words that come from Greek mythology. And those stories are easy to remember. You know, And now you'll have context because of the story. That's the other reason I like the stories, because the stories help you have context. Sometimes you learn a word, but you don't know how to use it. But if you know the word tantalizing and you remember the story of Tantalus and how something is just out of reach, you'll know how to use it, right? So, you don't think these are myths? Well, you can think whatever you want, but these are myths. These are just the stories of Greek mythology. Now, Magdalena, why do we have mythology? Why do we have mythology? Do you know why they made these stories? These stories were school. This was education. These stories are how Greeks would learn about anger and happiness and hatred and joy and revenge. They would teach their children about these things by teaching what the gods did. Okay, how the gods acted. They were showing how people behave. Now, a long time ago, 3,000 years ago, how many people could write and read? How many people could write and read a long time ago? Not many. So that means that they told stories. They could talk about it, but they couldn't write it. So, the word history. What is history, everybody? History is stories. History is stories. So history is written now, but before it was written, it was spoken. It was told again and again and again and again. They would tell these stories to their children every single day, every single night. They would talk about these stories, and these stories were education. Okay? This is how they learned. This is how you grew up. This is how you learned about good and bad and evil and, morality. Okay? How can they hear the story if they can't read? Because they were telling the stories. They're not reading them, they're telling them. Okay? Before people could write, telling a story was the way we kept our history. So we would tell those stories again and again and again. Every night by the fire, you would tell stories. That was history. Before people could write, the only way to remember your past was to tell a story again and again and again and again and again and again. For thousands of years, that's how we kept our history. Just by talking. Only by talking. Okay? The Vikings, same thing. The Vikings have a long history of gods and mythology, but most of it was spoken. It was spoken first, and then it was written later. Okay? What's the difference between a myth and a history? So that is a good question, Magdalena. And mythology is always a mix of both. When you look at mythology, mythology always has some truth, a little bit of truth, but then it's always mixed with stories and imagination and fantasy. Okay? So history and mythology do have a relationship, but not a direct relationship. Now, when we talk about the word history, we are talking about things that were written down that we can prove. Well, in general, we're saying things that can be factually checked. Factually checked. Let's just say that. All right, things that you can actually factually check to see, did this happen or not? So if we can check it to see that it did happen, then it's history. If we don't know that it really did happen, and it has a lot of things that sound like God stuff, then that's mythology. Okay? Oops, almost knocked over my drink. Okay, did someone have a question about classes? All right, listen to me. My name is Teacher Mark. I have been on Hello Talk for more than 12 years. I am a real teacher. This is my job. I have been streaming here for more than 6 years. I have done more than 1,300 live streams here. I have been teaching English since 2009, and I have been teaching since 1994. I am old. I know you don't think so, but I am. Now, I am here Monday through Friday in the morning. This is the morning for me. Right now it's almost 11 a.m., and I've been here for almost 2 hours, so I started around 9. Most mornings I start around 9:30 or 10:30 a.m. my time. Now, do I know what time that is in your time zone? No, I don't know what time zone that is for you. You have to go figure that out. I know my time zone. I told you my time zone. Now you do the homework. All right? And I have a YouTube channel. It is right here. Here's my YouTube channel. And here is my website. And here is my blog. Okay? So on my YouTube channel, you can go watch this, right? Every Hello Talk stream I do is on YouTube at the same time. So when this is finished, it will be uploaded to YouTube and you can watch it again. All right, if you want to learn more about Greek history and words, right? On my website, you can buy lessons from me. If you want to study with me, you can, but you must pay me because I like to eat. People need to eat. I'm people. I like to eat. I need to be paid so I can eat. All right? And you can also study on my website. If you go to my website, there are many, many, many free resources to study English on my website. Just go sign up and you'll find them. And then finally, my blog. Almost all of my best ideas and my best answers are on my blog. So you should read it. All right? Do I teach IELTS? Yeah, I do. I teach, man. I just teach. I teach. I don't talk about what kind of teaching anymore, you know? Is there any one group who have tried to prove the myths? So Magdalena, this has been studied a lot, Magdalena. This is not something new. Greek history and Greek mythology have been studied by many, 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 many people. There are classes that you can take. There are many books that you can read. Everything that has been found, has been looked at, has been studied, it has been covered. So I promise you, there are not many new ideas about Greek mythology because we have studied it a lot. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Oh, Romana's over there in my YouTube now. Hello, Romana there. And could I explain the difference between the suburbs and the outskirts? Yes, suburbs. Suburb means sub means under, okay? And herb means urban. Okay, so the word urban means the city. Okay, if you live in an urban area, then you live in the city. Okay, suburban means the ring around the city. Okay, in America, almost every city in America, we have the urban area, which is the city itself. Okay, and some people live in the city, but many people don't want to live in the city because they want to have a house. They want to have a little property. They want to have some land and peace and quiet. So instead of living in the city, they live outside the city in the ring around the city called the suburbs. Okay? And that's where we have a lot of houses and apartments. And there are many stores and restaurants and things like that too. Okay? But it's not as urban. It's not as much of a city. Okay? And then outside of that would be the outskirts. Okay? The outskirt. The skirt means the outer rim of something. Okay? So the outskirts would be the countryside. Okay? The countryside. The Pet Shop Boys had a song. What song? About what? Oh, Suburbia. That song, is that what you're talking about? Yeah. There's also a movie called Suburbia. Yeah, the term suburbs is pretty common here. Okay? And hello, Esther. All right. So, if you are new, then welcome, but I am not new. Spike says, how to improve my verbal English. Your verbal English is not the problem. The problem is your mental English. Your mental English is weak. And because your mental English is weak, your verbal English is weak. If you can't think it well, then how can you say it well? That's your problem. You have not spent any time learning how to think in English. If you think in Chinese and then you translate to English. That's not the right way. Okay? You're supposed to think in English. Then you don't need to translate. Now, because you do it that way, it's faster. If you try to translate everything in your mind, you are too slow. You are too slow. All right? So you need to learn how to think in English. And I talk about that here a lot. A lot. Okay? Let's see. Marco, hello, Marco. What about the term periphery? Periphery means the outside of something too. Okay, it's not as common of a word, but we do use it occasionally to mean the outside of something, the outer rim of something, or on the edge out of your view, right? So it comes from the Latin word peripheria, which is the Greek word peripheria. And it means the circumference. It means the outer ring, right? So when you measure a circle, you measure the outside ring. That's called the circumference. So the periphery means the circumference. It means on the outer ring, on the outer edge of it. All right. So your peripheral vision means I can see everything here very clearly. But once my hand goes right to here, Now everything behind here is in my peripheral vision. It's not very easy for me to see, but it's barely there. I can see just a little bit of that edge. That's the peripheral side. In the periphery. Okay? Do you understand, Marco? How can you level up your English to C2? Start with A1, then do A2, then do B1, then do B2, then do C1, then you'll be at C2. I don't know. What level are you? Are you A1? Are you C1? I don't know what level you are. You didn't tell me any information. You just said, how can I be an expert in English? Crawl, then walk, then run. Crawl, then walk, then run. You're at B2. Okay, so if you are at B2, then you should not be thinking about C2. You should be thinking about C1. Okay? When you're learning a language, every language, the level is like a neighborhood. Okay, so A1 is the first neighborhood that you're in. A1 is a very small neighborhood. It's very easy to learn this neighborhood because it's so small. You're like, oh, wow, this is a small neighborhood. I know everything now. Right? That's A1. A2 is a little bit bigger. Okay? A2 is a little bit bigger. But it's not that big. It's not that big. Okay? So it just takes a little bit of time to learn. B1 is a pretty big neighborhood. Okay? It takes longer to learn that neighborhood. B2, also a huge neighborhood. A lot of vocabulary, a lot of grammar, a lot of things to learn, right? So B1 and B2 are the biggest neighborhoods that you're learning. They take a long time. They take a long time to learn. Okay, so if you are in B2, it's going to take a while because it's a big neighborhood. It's like learning Tokyo. Okay? Learning your little village is easy. Learning Tokyo is not. Okay? Okay. We use the two terms, but suburb with respect to the periphery of a city seems something downgraded. Well, they're just two different terms, Marco. In general, when we talk about cities, we'll use the term suburb to refer to an area. Periphery is a more general term that could refer to anything that's on the outside of something. Okay? So, periphery has far more general value. Suburb is only about the kind of area for housing or city. You know, is it mostly residential or is it mostly buildings like skyscrapers? Okay? Laughing at someone is not right. CK, you must be new. I laugh a lot. I use sarcasm. I like to try to keep everything feeling fairly upbeat. Okay? And sometimes when a teacher laughs at your question, it's a good thing. Some questions should be laughed at. Okay? That doesn't mean I'm making fun of you. I am trying to get you to understand that you're asking the wrong questions. That's it. You're asking the wrong questions. All right? I am here to help. All right? I'm not here to make fun of anybody. I am here to give you power. I promise you. But occasionally, the person who needs to give you power needs to tell you you're wrong. All right? Okay, somebody said how to improve your English from A2 to B1. Again, guys, this is not a very good question. How can you go from A1 to B2? How can you go to whatever? How do you do it? You do it. There is nothing to do. Do it. A2. You said you're in A2. Did you study A2 vocabulary, A2 grammar, A2 pronunciation, A2 reading, A2 writing, A2 listening, A2 speaking, and A2 thinking? Did you do all of those? You must do those first. And then you can start doing some B1, reading, writing, listening, speaking, thinking, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Okay? So, whenever you are trying to learn something, you should push yourself a little bit. So if I am reading, let me think, how do I say this? If my vocabulary is at a B1 level, then I will try to read some things that are in a B2 level. Okay, let me think, what did I used to say? I used to say 80-20-10, right? Yeah. No. Sorry, 70-20-10. Is that right? Yes, 70-20-10. Duh. Okay. 70% of your reading should be at your level. So if you are A2, then 70% of your reading should be A2 reading. Okay? 20% of your reading can be below A2. It can be just, well, no, like let me think of it this way. Wait a minute. Yeah, let's do it this way. 70% of your reading should be at your level or below. Okay, 70% is at your level or below. 20% is right above your level, the next level above. Okay, and then 10% can be higher than that. 10%, so if you are reading at a B1 level, you can try to read 10% of C1 or C2 level. That's way above your level. But when you are at a level, 70% of your reading should be at that level or below. 20% should be pushing higher to get to the next level. If you never reach, then you will never reach it. Listen to what I just said. If you never reach, then you will never reach it. So if there is a fruit, and the fruit is right there, but you have to reach. You have to reach. Learning is the same. You have to reach. Okay, so 70% should be at your level or below, 20% is reaching, and 10% is really reaching. Really reaching for the fruit at the top of the tree. Okay? All right. The method does not matter a lot. Marina, are you a teacher? Because I'm a teacher, and I can tell you the method matters a lot, Marina. It absolutely matters a lot. That's why I have so many followers, Marina, because almost everybody who's learning tries to learn with no method. They don't have any method to the way they learn. That's why they don't learn well. They don't have any method. If you have no method, you cannot do it. You need a method. That's what teachers do. They teach you methods. Okay? So believe me, Marina, the method matters. Okay? Consistency is not key, because if you consistently practice every day the wrong way, then you're consistently practicing wrong. That's why method matters. When you have a method, you practice well, so that then your consistency does matter. But consistency is not more important than methodology. Okay? My whole job, Marina, is to tell you ways to do it that you didn't know about. And I have a lot of them. My entire job is to say, hey, do you know that there's another way to do it? You should try it this way. Most people don't even know there are other ways. They're not even trying to find them. You tried them all. How old are you, Marina? How old are you? I don't think you tried them all. Yeah, you're 20, Marina. You're 20. You think that at 20 years old, you've already done everything? I'm sorry, but no, Marina. No. What does fluent mean? What does fluent mean, Marina? What does fluent mean? Okay, you started 10 years ago. That's great. But what does fluent mean? If you're fluent and if you know everything, then why are you still making mistakes? I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you, Marina. But, Marina, anytime a 20-year-old person tells me they know everything, they don't know everything. You don't know anything. Yes, that I could comfortably speaking. But Marina, right there are 5 mistakes in what you just wrote. You're not fluent. You can speak comfortably, but you're not writing correctly. You still have a lot to learn. You should always feel like you have a lot to learn. The biggest mistake that you can make as a human being is to think that you don't have anything to learn. So, Marina, this is your first day here. I can tell. This is your first time here. I'm not new. I have been here for more than 12 years. I have been teaching longer than you have been alive. Okay? I'm sure that there are many things that I can tell you that you don't know. You should come here regularly and you'll hear them. All right? That's the number one reason I have followers, is because I do have answers you haven't heard before. All right? The biggest mistake you can make as a student is thinking you're done or thinking you know everything. Okay? You tried all the methods. If you tried all the methods, then I expect that you can name all the methods. Can you name all the methods? What are they? Okay, so name every method. Marina, I think you need a little bit more humility, Marina. You need a little more humility. Okay? Okay. So, wow, we have a lot of people here all of a sudden, 127 people here. So if you don't know who I am, again, my name is Teacher Mark. Lots of people don't like me, but most people do. I have been on Hello Talk a very long time, and I am a real teacher, and it is my job to help you. It is my job to help you, and I will help you. But I cannot help you if you think you know everything. The first rule of learning is, if you want to fill your cup, you must empty it first. The first rule of learning is, if you want to fill your cup, you must empty it first. So, if you want to learn, you cannot come here and pretend like you already know everything. You must come here and pretend like you know nothing. That is how you will learn. If you already think you know, then don't even watch. What's the point? You already know. I have nothing to teach you. Okay? You do like him and you don't like him too. Yeah, I know. But see, sometimes I have to be a little bit aggressive, you know, because I try. I don't want you to be less than the best. All right? From YouTube and TV shows and textbooks, that's not all the ways. That's not all the ways, Marina. There are podcasts and live streams and YouTube and apps and videos and teachers and friends and this live stream and the other teachers on Hello Talks live streams and seminars and traveling and there are a million ways to learn. You named 3. You named 3. How can young people be so arrogant? How can you be at 20 years old? I'm sorry, Marina. Listen, I appreciate that you are here, but I need to use you as an example because this is important. At 20 years old, I knew nothing. I was dumb. I was completely stupid. Everything that I thought I knew was nothing compared to what really was out there to be known. All right? So at 20 years old, I can tell you that I was stupid. Why can't you? If you think you know everything, then you have nothing to learn. And no one can help you. All right? She is so confident. No, that's not confident. Confident means that you can speak and you have the ability to back it up. But if you don't have the ability to back it up, then that's called arrogance, not confidence. Arrogance is to believe that you know everything or to say that you know everything when you don't. That is arrogance. Confidence is the ability to do something because you can. You do have that ability. Okay? And we don't need a referee. There is only one referee here. Me. This is my room. I'm the teacher. I run the show. One teacher. One. Me. That's it. All right? All right. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to argue with you. All right? Do you usually go to a classroom and argue with the teacher? Is that what you usually do? Does it work well? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. All right. Yes, I have a YouTube channel. Yes, I have a YouTube channel. Samad, we don't argue, we discuss. It's only a discussion if I'm interested. If I'm not interested, then it's not a discussion, it's an argument. All right? All right. I would like to know a lot of things about what I don't know. What's the meaning of the expression, it's me, and how to use it correctly? Rodrigo, it's me is a very basic statement that just means Maybe somebody called your name. You know, you're waiting in line and somebody says, Rodrigo, is Rodrigo here? That's me. It's me. Okay? Or maybe your phone is ringing and somebody says, oh, whose phone is ringing? Whose phone is that? Oh, it's me. It's my phone that's ringing. Okay? So it's me can mean many things. It depends on the context. Okay? Books that are suitable for a beginner. Leon, books are not suitable for a beginner. Short stories are suitable for a beginner. So, Leon, you should go to eslfast.com. Go to eslfast.com. That's a free website. It has about, 3,000, 4,000 short stories. And they're short stories that are for the very, very, very beginner, like kindergarten, all the way up to adult level. Okay? And they're short, very short, much, much easier. All right? Books are too long for a beginner. All right? My YouTube is right here. My YouTube is right here. What method do I recommend for memorizing words? Mobina, I recommend that you read my article about learning vocabulary, and I'll give it to you right here. I have 3 articles that you all should read. One is this one, How to Think in English, The Complete Guide to Fluency. Okay, that's one. Number 2 is this one here. Let's see. The 8 parts of language, the 8 pillars of language. Read this one here. And then the last one is about vocabulary. If you want to learn vocabulary, don't memorize. Do this instead. Read that article about how to learn vocabulary the right way. Okay? Okay, let's see. Let me go back and make sure I got all the comments. Huh? Weird. Didn't work. Wurtle says, one doesn't feel they know many things when one has known many things. Some people might think they know much when they just know a little. Yeah, that's called youth. When you are young, every young person, they think they know a lot. That's what young people do. But every young person learns that they didn't know anything. Every young person grows up and every single one will say, I was stupid when I was 20 compared to now. If you didn't, then I feel very sorry for you. If you are 40 and you are 40 years old and you say, oh, when I was 20, I was brilliant. I feel sorry for you. If you're 40 years old and you look back at when you were 20 and you think you were a genius, then you're probably not very honest with yourself. Okay? What's the most boring thing about my job as a teacher? The most boring thing, when I have to teach, like certain curriculum that I don't really want to teach, but I have to teach it, so I do, right? My job now is nice because I can do whatever curriculum I want. I don't have to teach anything if I don't want to. But sometimes I have to teach things that are boring, and you just have to do it. It's part of the job. You just have to find ways to make it interesting if you can. All right? Okay. When What does I've taken precautions mean? I've taken precautions. Precautions means caution means danger, be careful. Caution, caution. Pre means before. So precautions means you think about the dangers that could happen before and you do something about it. Those are precautions. Anything that you do to prepare yourself for stuff that's coming, bad stuff, those are precautions. Okay, so anything that you do to prepare is precautionary. Okay? Can ChatGPT give us the wrong information about English grammar? Can it? Yes, it can. But I have never seen it do it. Not yet. I have used it to help me with grammar a lot. It's my job as a teacher. I use it every day to help me with things. And it's rarely wrong for me. I keep hearing, everybody keeps telling me, oh, it's so wrong. It's wrong about this, and it's wrong about that, and it's wrong about this. And I'll tell you this, that's BS. If you want it to be wrong, it will be wrong. I can make it wrong. If I deliberately ask it something in the wrong way, it will be wrong. But if you ask it with a little bit of intelligence, it's usually right. Okay? Especially about things like grammar. Grammar are pretty static rules. They don't change a lot, so it's fairly easy to use that data to correct you. Oh, okay. Excuse me. All right. I don't think I can understand the native speaker's words. My level is about B1. Musa, you can understand me. I bet you can. So, if you can understand me, then you can understand. You can't understand the people on YouTube. You can't understand the people on TikTok. Because most people don't care about their language. They are not trying to speak well. You understand me because I do care about my language. I am trying to speak well. So if you can understand me, then you can understand people who speak well. So focus on them for now. Don't try to listen to everybody because you can't. You don't have the ability to understand everybody. There are 8 billion people on this planet. Okay? And then how many speak English? And then how many speak well? You can't understand all of them. So don't try to understand all of them. Try to understand the ones who speak well first. Try to the other people, it'll come later. Okay? Why can't I use I am? So I am is to talk about other things, right? If you say who is an expert in math? Oh, I am. Who likes no, let me see. Who is? It's any kind of is question, Rodrigo. If I ask, who is this? Who is that? I am that. Okay? But if you're asking other questions like, what was the it's me, right? You were saying that was the other way? You could also say it's me in some of these cases. But it depends on the situation. It depends on what they're asking. Okay? I am is a statement that says I am a blah, blah, blah. I am tired. I am hungry. I am. Right? They're asking you, who is hungry? I am. Who's tired? I am. Who is 50 years old? I am. Okay? When I was 20, I had believed I'd mastered the English language. Later in life, I realized I was so wrong. Yeah, me too. When I first started learning Chinese, I thought, man, my Chinese is so good. It was terrible. It was terrible. All right? Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll tell you, to me, let me just make sure here. Let's be clear about one thing. In this room, if you come in my room, I'm here to teach. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to follow me. But I am not going to argue with you. I am not here for that. I did not wake up and come here and turn on the camera to argue with anyone. If you like what I say, great. If you don't, great. All right? I'm not here to be anybody's best friend. I'm here to teach. All right? Do I practice Chinese so I don't forget it? Yeah, I practice my Chinese almost every day. I try to use it while I'm thinking, Esther. I use it all the time. Okay? So, if I'm hungry, dude's, 我要吃什么? I'm hungry. What should I eat? I just think it. That's all. Just think and keep it alive in your head. That's it. Leon says, why do they use the word Q if they only say Q? Why do they consider the word? So, the word Q is a long history. The word Q actually comes from a long time ago when you would write a letter, right? It was a scroll, right? You would take this big piece of paper and you would roll it up into a scroll. And to seal it, you would use some wax. They would use some wax and a stamp, and then a ribbon. And that ribbon was called the Q. It was the thing that they wrapped around the letter, okay? And it was a long ribbon, like a line. So the word Q comes from that. Now, why is it spelled that way? That has to do more with the etymology. It's always the French. Blame the French. So the word Q originally was spelled, it went from Q-U-E-U-E. Before that, it was C-U-E. It was nice and simple. But the French, for some reason, decided it needed all these extra letters. So a lot of the English words that have letters that you don't understand, why is this letter here? It's because of the French. All right? The Latin word was coda, and that became co, which became Q, which became, and that was C-U-E, and then C-U-E became Q-U-E-U-E, which is weird. I agree. Okay. If someone asks, you speak English, can I answer, yes, I do speak English? If someone says, do you speak English? Yes, I do. Yes, I speak English. Okay?我会说中文，可是这是英文课，所以他们听不懂。如果我说中文，他们听不懂我说什么。所以英文课我需要说英文，教英文。You like my beret? It's not a beret, Annabella. This is called a newsboy. It's kind of like a beret, but a beret is a French hat that's to the side and to the front. A newsboy is straight down the middle. It's different. How can you improve your grammar to be better? You need to have a good book. There is a book online that you can use for free. Let me find the link for it here. Wait a minute. There it is. Go here. This is my favorite grammar book, and now you can get it online for free. It's right there. Okay, Basic English Grammar. That book. Yeah, there it is. Thank you, Vadim. Yeah, that book is great. It's my favorite book for learning English grammar. And there's another website that you can use that will be useful too, called GamesToLearnEnglish.com. GamesToLearnEnglish.com. Go to GamesToLearnEnglish.com and just play games. Your grammar will get better and you're just playing games. Okay? All right. Wow. Please be patient. I'm trying to get all the comments. When we want to ask someone back the same question, should we say, what about you or how about you? Both would be okay. It depends on what you're asking about, right? Are you hungry? Yeah. What about you? Or how about you? Both are fine. Okay? As the Chinese say, 都可以. How to use reported speech fluently without thinking. Tell a story. That's all reported speech is, man. Can't you tell a story? That's what reported speech is. You are reporting what happened. What does the word report mean? Re means again, okay, or back. In this case, it means back. And port means carry. So the word report was the general. That's me. I'm the general, and I have something very important that I need to tell the people back in the city. I need to tell the king something. So I'm going to write down my message and I'm going to give it to this guy here, and he is going to run it back to the king. He is going to take it back. That's what report means. So to report means to tell what happened, like a story. That's why we call them reporters. The reporter is supposed to tell the story of what happened here. Today, a store was robbed. At 12:56 p.m., 3 men came into the store with guns and they attacked the store clerk. That's reported speech. Okay? Tell a story. Tell a story. Jason Lee, 在你的裤子里面，你有好笑的鸡鸡哟？鸡鸡吗？我感觉你有。Some people use flags, fake flags in their profile, how to recognize a fake. If not, Victor, it's usually really easy. First of all, if you are faking it, why? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? If you are not from that country, you shouldn't be using that flag. You are lying. You are lying. Why are you lying? What's wrong with you? Make a profile that's real, or you're a child. Are you a child? That's my question. Okay, so Victor, if their profile is fake, you will know within 2 minutes their English will be obviously bad. Okay? One day you heard me say, all right, let's just roll with it. Yeah, that's a common one. To roll with the punches is an idiom. It means, it's a boxing idiom. It means that when you box, right, sometimes you get hit in the face, right? And, okay, I got hit, but I got to keep going. right? That's called rolling with the punches, right? You get hit, but you just keep going, all right? Carolina, in America, we never say Q. We always say line. That's a British thing only, okay? Again, you don't need to hear them. You'll see it in their text messages. If their language is really low, if their language is really poor, then why bother talking to them at all? Even if they are a native. Let's say they're not faking. If they're not presenting themselves with proper language, then you shouldn't talk to them. Okay? How to benefit from reading English novels. Does it help to improve English? Of course it does. Reading is the number one way to increase your vocabulary. It's the number one easiest way to increase your vocabulary. Read, 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 read. Okay? But you should read at the right level, Emma. You have to be reading at the right level. If the book is too hard for you, it will be too frustrating. Okay? Why is the letter W spelled W instead of double V? Muhammad, that's because in the Latin vocabulary, English is a language that comes from many languages, right? And one of the languages it comes from is the Latin language, okay, from the Roman Empire. And in the Latin alphabet, there is no letter U. The letter U is the letter V. Okay, so originally it was double V. Then that became double U because the Latin word, there is no U, it became, V became U. All right? You thought English also came from Latin. ChatGPT told me it's a Germanic language with strong French. So, Esther, that's true. English is a Germanic language, which means that when it was created, the north part of Europe, the entire northern part of Europe, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, northern France, all of that area, that was Germanic area. It wasn't Germany because there were no countries yet. This is before countries really existed. Okay, there were territories. And the northern part of Europe, all of that area was called the Germanic area of Europe. Those were the Germanic tribes. And there were two tribes there, two or three, the Saxons and the Jutes and I can't remember the other one, but they were, let's call the Saxons and the Jutes were these two groups that were Germanic, and they traveled across the water over into England, early England, okay, before it was England. And then they mixed with the people who were there. And who was there? The Angles. The Angles were there. That was the first group that mixed with the Jutes and the Saxons, and they became the Anglo-Saxons. Okay? So, English is considered a Germanic language because those two Germanic tribes, the Jutes and the Saxons, moved across the water to England, and they mixed with the group there, the Angles, and that became early English. Now, that area was controlled by the Latin language because it was the Roman Empire. All of that area was controlled by the Roman Empire for a long time, and the language of the Romans was Latin. Okay, so it's a Germanic language that had strong Latin influence and Greek influence because the Romans loved the Greeks. The Romans admired the Greeks. Okay, and then the English, they used to fight with the French for hundreds of years. The French and the English went back and forth fighting. Anytime two people fight or trade, language and culture are exchanged. So 30% of English words come from French, at least 30%, because the French and the English fought a lot. Okay? So 60% of English words come from Latin or Greek, 30% of English words come from French, 20% come from German, and then there are many English words that come from Arabic, Hindi, Persian, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese. Okay? So, English is a Germanic language, but it has Latin and Greek roots and French roots as well. Okay? And German as well, right? Okay. Man. Okay, please help with the pronunciation of the word thought. 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 Okay? Imagine it's spelled THAWT. Thought. That's what it's pronounced like, okay? Huh? Who said report? Victor, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you mean, yeah. I mean, if you find somebody who has a fake profile, you should report them. Because you're not supposed to have a fake profile. You are not supposed to pretend to be from America when you're not. Okay? Now, there are some people who do it innocently. They just admire America a lot or something. All right, but still, it's dishonest. We all know that Hello Talk, you're supposed to create a profile that represents who you are and where you're from. Why wouldn't you do that? Okay? Okay. What? What about Jason Lee? What? I don't know why it's not working. Wait a minute. I forgot about my people over here. Okay, good. Now, please wait a minute. Ah. All right. Let me check something. Will this channel have a structured course? No. If you want me to teach you, you have to pay me. Otherwise, I'm just going to answer questions. All right? Okay, next question. Yeah, Alyssa is answering for me. Thank you, Alyssa. Let's see. English is your first language, not people know my country. Is that Trinidad, I think? And you can tell me, I never know. Is it Trinidad and Tobago or Trinidad and Tobago? I never know which one is the right, if it's an ah or a sound. Okay. Sit somewhere. I like to stand when I'm teaching. I don't get tired when I'm standing. Don't worry. Don't worry. Can I give you some examples of Chinese words in English? Yeah. Long time no see. Victor, Americans say that all the time. Oh, long time no see. In Chinese, that's 好久不见. Okay? And in English, sometimes we say, let me have a look-see. Let me have a look-see. That's 我要看看, 看一下, 看看, which is like to look, right? So there are some words and phrases that got translated from Chinese into English that became English later. Okay? They happen from trade. Okay? Yeah, Gong Bao, yeah, Gong Bao Ji Ding, right. Kung Pao, right. Kind of. Yeah. Some of them do it so they'll attract more people, but that's dishonest. That's dishonest. That's lying. That's a falsehood. Some people do it because there's likely only 1% of the app from that country. Yeah, I know. I have been here for 12 years, guys. More than 12 years. But you still should be honest. None of those things that you said are an excuse to make a fake profile. Okay? I thought I made a funny assumption about Jason Lee in another platform. What other platform? I don't know what you're talking about. I think any national dish name must be pronounced as they named it. So, yeah, old boy, that's true. Many words you kind of do change the pronunciation sometimes, right? So, for example, if I am in America and I am eating some Mexican food, then maybe I'm eating some jalapenos or tortillas. And I'm not going to say tortilla and jalapeno or jalapeno, as some people say. Okay, so yes, sometimes when you use a word that the origin comes from that country, then yes, you should try to use that pronunciation. Okay, but it depends. How much time do I learn Chinese every day? I don't know. I don't think about it. I don't count. When I learn, I never count anymore. Why? Why do you think that's true? When I'm studying, I don't pay attention to the time. Why? Not because I enjoy it. No. Not because it's effective. No. Not really because of passion. No. I mean, kind of. Because if you're learning something, counting the number of hours has no real value. Okay? Counting the number of hours you do something doesn't mean anything. And if you really want to learn something, then you will just do it. You won't count. Okay? If you really want to do something, then you just do it. You don't count how many hours, because counting is not, you are not counting because you want to do more. You are counting because you want to do less. That's why I don't count. Because I don't count, I know I'm doing more than you. Do you understand? When you count, it's like you're saying, I'm only going to do this much. But when I study, I never count. So I'll probably do more than you because I'm not looking at the clock. Okay? Lola, hello Lola. Yes, I do remember you because I remember the name. Yeah. You count money, you wish to get a lot. Well, counting money is different. When you're learning, counting has no value. Okay? In music, in when I was learning drums a long time ago, I remember all of the guys around me, they would say, real men don't count. And what that means is we don't go around and say, well, I'm going to practice for 1 hour. I'm going to practice for 2 hours. I'm so proud of myself because I can practice for 1 hour. But the real guys, they're not counting. They're doing 3, 4, 5 hours because they're not counting. So they do more. Okay? Okay. Now, I would like to answer some questions that are more interesting. So how about, would someone like to come on stage and actually ask me a question? If not, then I'm going to teach you something else. But how do you understand that you need to stop learning today? You don't. Edema, when I was studying, there are some times when I'm studying that somebody needs to tell me, hey, have you eaten? Have you eaten or taken a break in a while? You probably need to eat something. So if you want it, then you'll do it. It's fairly simple. Okay? Do I have any advice about overcoming or managing anxiety and distress? So, Rodrigo, what kind of anxiety? What kind of stress? About what? Because anxiety and stress come in many kinds, right? There are some kinds of anxiety and stress that are not that bad, and there are some kinds that are very, very bad. So it depends on what kind, you know? If I just tell you, you know, you should just breathe more and eat better and sleep more, that's not very useful to me, you know? But if you tell me what the problem is, then maybe I can give you some piece of information or advice that might be good. But you know, just the other day I was watching a video about one of my a man I admire, and he was saying how he doesn't think advice is a good idea, and I was thinking, man, I give advice all the time. I should be careful. You want to come on stage, but your spoken English isn't good. Well, then you need to keep working on it until it is. So there's a goal for you, Tamor. Okay? Your goal is to get your English good enough to come on stage and talk to me. All right? So now you have a goal, so start working on it. And then when you are ready, on the day you are ready and you feel you can come on stage and talk to me, then tell me. Okay, and we'll do it. To be on the zone. We say in the zone, Carolina, not on the zone. To be in the zone, it's like to be like sometimes when I'm playing drums, right? I'm playing drums and everything is going really well. All my ideas are coming really well and my performance is really well. You know, I'm technically performing well. Everything's going great. I am in the zone. When everything is going really, really well and flowing really well, you're in the zone. Okay? To be in the zone. It is still winter here, yes. It's still cold. Okay. So it has been 3 hours. Can you believe that? Jeez. Wow. 3 hours. And I know I made many people angry today. I might do that occasionally. Sometimes I might yell at you. Maybe. But I only do it because you need to pay attention. I only do it because you need to listen more. I only do it because I care. All right? Now, again, I'm here almost every day, Monday through Friday. Okay? And over 1 million people have watched my streams. Over 1 million people have watched my streams. 88,000, almost 90,000 people follow me. All right? And I'm not doing that or saying that to brag. And I'm not doing that or saying that as like some sort of a flex. No. I regularly tell people, I do not want you to follow me. I want you to follow the ideas, not me. All right? So none of this is about me. This is about the ideas that work. Okay? All right. Okay. And if you don't know already, here is my YouTube channel. Here is my website. And here is my blog. Okay, not everybody on Hello Talk has a website, a YouTube, and a blog, but I do. All right? Can I explain the English phrases raining cats and dogs and frogs down from the sky? So raining cats and dogs is an old phrase that just means heavy rain. Nobody really knows for sure where the phrase comes from. There are some different theories that I've read, but none of them really seem very good. Okay, so to be honest, old boy, raining cats and dogs is an idiom that not everybody is really sure where the idea comes from totally. Okay, we don't know. But it just means heavy rain, really heavy rain. Okay, so if it's raining really hard, then it's raining cats and dogs. Now, frogs down from the sky is not that common to talk about. And that is from the Bible. In the Bible, there's a story about, it's like all these terrible things are happening. There's a plague, there's locusts, there's frogs coming from the sky. These were the signs that God was angry or upset about something, right? So, like frogs from the sky just means like a supernatural event. Okay? I am from Ohio. Okay. And Lola, I'm a little tired today because I've been here for 3 hours already. Can you come back tomorrow maybe and we can talk tomorrow? All right? I think it's time for me to have a break. Okay? Please do try to understand that it is a little bit hard to do what I do here. Because every day I am here, and it's not like a normal class. Because a normal class, I have the same people over and over, and I can teach and I can build on what I teach. But every day when I teach here, there are new people, and they ask me the same questions again and again and again. How can I be fluent? How can I improve my reading? How can I improve my vocabulary? How can I improve my pronunciation? How can I improve my accent? What's the difference between this word and this word? What's the difference between this word and this word? How do you know the difference between simple perfect or simple past and present perfect? I answer these questions all the time. All right? So you need to understand sometimes I do get a little bit frustrated. Sometimes I do get a little bit impatient because I have been here live streaming more than 1,300 times. 1,300 times I have been here answering these questions. Okay? So, that's why occasionally maybe I do get a little bit frustrated. All right? How can I be good at English? Every day. Every day somebody says that. And Magdalena, I did create FAQs. That's what my blog is for. My blog is for that. But guess what, Magdalena? Lots of people don't read my blog. So I still have to answer the questions again and again and again. Everybody wants me to give them everything without any effort, any work. They just want all the answers with no work, you know? So, is do as I say, not as I do a common expression? Yeah, it's pretty common. Yeah. Don't talk the talk, walk the walk. That's another one we say, Samuel. Don't talk the talk, walk the walk. Okay? Or we say, if you're going to talk the talk, then you also must walk the walk. It means anybody can speak, anybody can talk. Talk is cheap. Action is not. Okay? Okay, so again, I have been here for a long time, and I will be here for probably a lot longer. So you should come back and see me again. Sometimes I do live streams where I teach like this, and sometimes I go back here and I play. Okay? Thank you, Marco. Man, I would love to have an Italian coffee with you someday, Marco. One day we'll do that, man. We'll do that. I really do want to go to Italy. You know, I don't know. I feel like I've studied so much about that country but never gone there. It's weird. It's kind of weird. I've studied so much about it, but I've never been. So it's very strange. And now I have some friends there too. So I really, really need to go. All right, guys. That's going to be it for me. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening, wherever you live. Try not to be too mad at me when I yell. All right? I am an acquired taste. That's what we say. I'm not for everybody. I am an acquired taste. All right? Some people don't like the taste of this. Okay, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.